We are alive, ladies and gentlemen. Damn, it's been a long time. I think the last time I did a live stream was the night President Trump became the president of the United States. Again, probably voted in for the third time. It's been a wild week out there. Been watching these beautiful reaccumulation patterns on Bitcoin, and it finally broke out. So if you were in the private group, or if you were paying attention to the previous videos, I started to get really excited because there was, for the first time in a long time, a horizontal reaccumulation range that was starting to build inside of the range. Now, again, you have to remember, I've gone over a mathematics concept called scale invariance, which means kind of regardless of the time scale that we're looking on, we're going to get repeat patterns of what's working. If you can, let me know in the chat if things are working, because I actually can't tell. I can't check. So you guys will have to do that work for me. And just let me know in the chat. So I believe on the screen here, what we're looking at is the 45-minute. And we saw this beautiful horizontal accumulation range start to take place. And then as soon as we hit the test, we had a big breakout of Bitcoin this morning. Now, all of the other assets have actually been moving. I think Solana was the first to move. There was a few others that were really big players. Fetch did really well, Render, Tau. So there's been a few that have all moved to the top of my watch list based off this. So just as an example, we'll go to, this is Solana on the 45-minute. And again, I had mentioned in our previous video, or in the private group, that this horizontal trading range that was taking place here was very exciting to see, because it was the first time we'd seen it. We saw a reaccumulation within a reaccumulation. We saw the first SOS back up, and the first part of the SOS and LPS phase, which is currently taking place now. These are the most exciting times in the market. This is usually where the market just goes onwards and upwards for quite some time. Now for Solana, I suspect we're going to go to at least 150 today. Now we can make some extended conjecture here by looking at Render. So again, Render also for the first time in a very long time produced a perfect horizontal trading range here. It actually, you could make a great argument that this was an inverse head and shoulders. So if we zoom in on the 15-minute, I again posted this in the private group as well. This looked like a perfect inverse head and shoulders into the SOS, now back up and into the secondary LPS stages. So I suspect we're going to see bullish momentum here for probably another week or two. Now for Bitcoin, it's on the larger time frames that this kind of makes sense. Remember, there are two stories here. Number one, I believe that we're in a reaccumulation after decline. This type of horizontal trading range has been our go-to. We teach the Wyckoff method within the private group. It's basically following supply and demand signatures. It's one of the reasons why I was rather bullish while everyone turned bearish here at the momentum of Trump's tariffs. I still think the stock market will go down for a little bit longer. The crypto market usually leads the stock market by about a month or two. Probably because crypto trades 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the stock market's generally shut down. So it's at least every week, it's a week ahead, because you have twice as much time plus 2 days. So it's a lot of extra time in the trading and momentum potential for what crypto is doing versus what the regular market is doing. But here again, this looks like a reaccumulation after decline for me. And most importantly, we've seen the first reaccumulation sign in a while. So I suspect we're going to go to at least 89,000. The rest of the crypto market is going to pump. We could even come all the way back up to 94,000 on this run, but it'd probably be something with a recheck of 86 to 87, and then all the way back up to 95. If that's the case, if we come all the way back up to 95, I suspect we get a backup range somewhere like this, around 91,000, and then we're onwards and upwards to $150,000 Bitcoin in the very near future. And the scenario I looked at was a little bit slower than this. So I actually suspected that we would come to $89,000 and come back down one more time. But I'm starting to think that what we had just witnessed in Bitcoin during the Trump tariff reign was probably the spring. That was a massive amount of fear, probably unjust. I suspect that they're going to lower interest rates in the regular stock market. I think that we're going to see a pretty big recoil in that. It will take a little bit longer. Again, I think the crypto market's going to lead the this market by probably quite a bit here. I think probably about a month ahead. So another month of pain for the stock market. Gold is at new all-time highs again today. So it seems very likely to me that this is what we're in for, some onwards and upwards momentum for quite a little bit here. Thanks to everyone joining the live stream. It's been a long time since I've done a live stream, so I had to go through and do a bunch of work this morning to make sure everything was still plugged in properly and working. Again, here, looking at render, we can see this, to me, looks like a really beautiful horizontal accumulation range. Again, the first reaccumulation after what appears to might have been a spring. If that is the case, this would be like a perfect double bottom here for render. I'm not holding out for a lot of bullish momentum yet. I'm just looking for the top of the trading range, which is around $5 for render. If we do get a backup phase at that area, oh my God, we're going to rip. Remember, we've been in a downwards market trend for quite some time. And as you've seen in the past, when render breaks out of these horizontal ranges, if that's the case, we could be looking at a 100% to 300% run here for some of these assets. So really nice, but the risk is much higher than it was at the very bottom of that spring. Obviously, we're up near the top of the trading range. The RSIs are starting to move into peak out mode, even on the daily. The stochastic is about to blow up, is already blown out. The regular RSI is nearing its top. So again, I suspect that what that means is, also understand too that once we get above those, the ability to move higher is quite a bit easier. If we go down to the 6 hour here, we're just about to turn up on the stochastic RSI. The MACD is still in the green above the center line. So there's reason for me to believe that we're going to go at least to the $5 range for render, at least to the $89,000, maybe even $92,000 range for Bitcoin here. The only downside and this is not the greatest point of concern, but we're well along our way towards the end of this bull market. This started in October 2023. We've been following this bull market since October 2023. Although this is the start of I believe is the final leg, or what some people would call the wave 5 of Elliott. After this is distribution and a bear market for a few years, it might not be the same as previous years. We could see something strange here. I've been calling for a market melt-up scenario for a bunch of years, which is this idea that they go into a really low interest rate, really high printing momentum type space. I think that's going to be the case. I think that the governments have no choice. They're just going to continue to print capital, and that's going to be their go-to for quite a long time. I don't think they have any other levers that they can pull in this game that they can play. So I believe that's what they're going to do. I believe they're going to pull us into really, really high printing phenomenon. I've got the video I'm working on this week is about that. The M2 of multiple different countries has been raising significantly over the last few months. And I believe we're going to see most asset prices scream. But I don't think it's going to be safe for most assets in the long term. What we're witnessing, in my opinion, is a devaluation of dollars and currency around the planet, which for most people will look good at first because your portfolio will be going up. But when push comes to shove, when you try to take those assets out, I don't think you'll be able to get them. I think we will have a total reevaluation of the system somewhere around 2027 and a total breakdown of currency. Where Bitcoin and the rest kind of show its true nature of the value, which is these are assets that the government cannot take away from you. The first time I saw Bitcoin, and it was really interesting to me, was in the Cypriot banking collapse when everyone that was in Cyprus, the banks just told them, hey, if you have over $100,000 in your bank account, we're just going to take all that because fuck you. And that's what they did. I don't think a lot of people realize that all governments will do the same thing because they're governments. they don't really care about people. That's what they pretend to do. Over time, they all become corrupted because they have massive amounts of money moving through these ecosystems. And then what you're left with is the most parasitic people generally that show up. Then some type of revolution happens and people that are better at business start to take over the government, realizing the government should be run somewhat like a business. You can't just fucking take out infinite amount of debt to give to people that are poor, because that's not how the world works. Sadly, yet maybe in the future when we have more infinite free technology and we discover near 0 point type shit, that's amazing. Then we can do that. But for now, because energy takes so much effort to produce, we just can't do that without harming general society for those people who like to produce things that are valuable to us. Like, I fucking love my hot water, and that costs money, and that takes energy, and that's why it costs money. If it didn't take energy to produce the hot water, to produce the machines that produce the hot water, well, things would be damn near free and we could give it to fucking everybody. But until then, it can't work that way. So we have a few problems to fix before we can go into some type of la la land. But I think we get there. 2035, I believe we're living in fucking la la land. And we're able to do a hell of a lot more. But the main goal is just survive till 2035, because the governments might try to kill you somewhere between here and there, because they have in the past. So don't underestimate them. They're well known for doing exactly that. Anyways, we're back over here taking a look at Bitcoin. On the 6 hour, again, the MACD's just turned up, stochastic RSI's just turned up, and the RSI is about to break the middle line. I actually think we're going to go higher than 89,000. I think 89,000 is the first backstop. Based off the fact that we've seen reaccumulations in the middle of the box for many assets, leads me to believe that this is actually the start of the finale of the bull market. And if you've been joining this channel for a while, you'll know that this is one of my favorite moments, because these reaccumulation bars are usually the best entries with the lowest amount of risk. And if you find the assets that are moving the fastest now, which we are going to hone into and drop in the private group this week, because I found about 7 that I've been really excited about, and a few that I was just fucking infuriated, angry about, because they don't do anything. And that's one of the most annoying parts of the market, is you'll be sitting in an asset that won't do anything and everything else is exploding. And although they might seem like lower risk probabilities, they're also less rewarding in the long term quite often, because the market is signaling what it likes through buying pressure. And we don't have to pretend that we're smarter than everybody else, which is a game I used to play and I would make a lot of mistakes on, which is, oh, I know the value of this asset is super high because X, Y, or Z, and just other people don't see it. I ignore that now. I don't do that. I did that in the past, and it never bodes well, because like everyone, we like to pretend that we know something that the market doesn't. When in reality, the best thing to do is just follow the money and let the money do the fucking talking in the market, because that's what we're here for. We wiped through a bunch of shorts this morning. Let's see, over $7 billion of shorts were just liquidated at the $86,000 range. So that's a lot of money gone in a very short period of time. And there's another big fat chunk of around $10 billion in shorts at around the $100,000 area that I suspect will actually be closed over the next week or two. They're not going to want to get liquidated on their price. But the market lost a lot of money today, unless you were long, in which case you're doing well. You are not short on the market, which you shouldn't be right now, and you're probably doing better than a lot of those bigger players. So in general right now, all the momentum is leading to the bullish side of things. What is this? Where we got our bullish longs? $11 billion in longs, $9 billion in short for Bitcoin. Everything across the board is weighted to the long side now. It's nice to see that switch. It's been a long time. Again, these early reaccumulation markers of these horizontal trading ranges, here I'm looking at Psi. You can find them in Fetch, Render, Link, Near. Some of them are weaker than others. Again, what we want to do is look for where there's already been momentum. Render has been fantastic. It's already broken out of this median trading range and headed to the top of the box. It's getting there very quickly. These are very potent moments in the market where the horizontal range allows usually for maybe what was this, between a 10% gap for render from top to bottom on the range before it broke out, those are beautiful. And I suspect we're going to get one more amazing opportunity right near the backup phase here. That's probably around 10 to 15% too. So if you happen to be into the more shorter game, that's great. I'm excited to play here, and I think Bitcoin's about to do the same thing. It's going to give us, if this is the moment we've been waiting for, where it just keeps going onwards and upwards, which would be about a month or two earlier than I originally thought, but I also did warn just to keep an eye out. And in the last week, I've been screaming, this looks like a reaccumulation range in the private den. So we got that this morning. Very exciting. Again, the reason I'm doing a live stream is because it's exciting. These are my favorite moments in the market. If you've been here over the years, a lot of the times I don't make videos that are always focused on the market because there's just nothing to do in the horizontal range. And that's why one of the reasons why I don't make videos all the time. Although I've been making more videos recently, it's mostly because I want to join you guys on this journey, and I miss hanging out with the Arcane Bear family. The most important part of the market growth and sentiment is this. It's these moments, and they're the most exciting for me because you can, I don't suggest anyone trade leverage unless you know what you're doing, but there are moments where I can make like a few years salary in like 2 months and with very little effort. So I like to add to the bucket usually during these moments in the final stages of the backup, because it's the least amount of time that I have to spend in the market with the least amount of risk. And that's where these types of positions are the most favorable. Again, trading with leverage can be very dangerous. It's a great way to lose a lot of money. So if you know what you're doing and you know when you should be doing it, this is the best time to be in the market. So I think that's what's happening. I think the best time to be in the market it seems to be unfolding right before our eyes here. And again, that's because of these horizontal trading ranges that we see building just finished building and breaking out within Bitcoin. Now I'm going to open up some of the private Bear Den's information here. Let's share some of this with you guys. I've been a long time fan of producing valuable educational content. One of the things we've done over the last few years is produce a wide range of PDFs and kind of behind the scenes documents for all of our private members. Okay. I just realized I have to log into the Arcane Bear. So if you guys can give me a second here, I'm going to log in on the back end, and then I'm going to share some awesome content and data with you guys here. So one of the things that we did over the last few years was produce content around these specific Wyckoff ranges. And what I've done is compared them to hunting. It's like when we're looking for market potentials, it's like we're hunting. It's the closest thing we have to hunting animals in the digital world, in my opinion, is we look for these digital footprints of the buying and selling of an asset. We call them the market maker or the composite operator. I call him Comp Man for short. We look for the footprint that Comp Man leaves in the market when we're hunting this motherfucker. Because when he leaves a footprint within the range that we want, it produces a ton of value in a very short period of time, again, with very little effort, which if you're like me, making a lot of money with very little effort is a great way to go. So these are the different types of accumulation ranges. Now, I've always been better at finding bottoms than picking tops. And I think it's one of the reasons why we call the channel the Arcane Bear to begin with, is because I think the value and the nature of the bear is largely misunderstood. They are those who know how to accumulate when things get rough. And so for me, the Arcane Bear meant those who know how to accumulate. Could be one of my own kind of downfalls, but nonetheless, accumulation ranges are the best place to get into the market and then enjoy the ride for the few months while doing very little, making a ton of money just by kind of sitting around. So the bear was always emblematic of this type of approach to me. I believe we are seeing reaccumulation schematics across the board here. Now, again, these are smaller reaccumulations. For Bitcoin here, this is only a 57-day accumulation bar, and it's in part of a much larger cycle. And that's the important thing to remember, is that we started this bull market after a really big accumulation cycle of around 500 days. We saw the first blow up into the market, followed by a secondary reaccumulation here for 266 days. I think we're in the very last stages of this reaccumulation, which will probably be around 300 days. And I think we're going to go to around 150,000. We could go higher. We could end up in that market melt-up scenario that I spoke of earlier, where governments just go retarded, print an infinite amount of money, just give it to people because, you know, governments are awesome or suck. I don't know, depending on how you want to look at it. Free money probably is what they're going to do. They did this in the beginning of COVID. They just like, hey, we're going to give you all checks. That's a bad sign. If the government starts giving you checks, you should be worried. It's not as exciting as you would think. But nonetheless, these larger cycles of accumulation here, which are my favorite, where we got into the market early October. We rode out most of the first cycle into March 2022. We rode out the secondary part of the cycle. Again, I was wrong here. I thought we'd be in a horizontal accumulation range with maybe a dip into 84,000 before going higher, because I thought we were going to go to like 240 grand. I think now it's less likely. $150,000 appears to be the most likely scenario in my mentality based off this weaker signal, but that's not always the case. If we go back to 2018, we saw a reaccumulation bar like this, and then it went from 9 grand to 20 something, to 60,000. So we could be at the start of us going to $240,000. I'm not saying it's for sure, but usually, and that's a bad way to make any statement start, but usually these are weaker scenarios within the market space. So something to think about when we look at the reaccumulation after decline breakouts. These types, schematic number 4, they're usually weaker. And again, I think we just saw the phase C reaccumulation, which is right here, a phase C reaccumulation, which is where we would be, I think, where we are now, because it's the first reaccumulation bar we've seen in a very long time. So this being the first reaccumulation bar and this being the schematic that I think this is based off of, I think $150,000 is pretty much next. It's not guaranteed, just one step at a time here. We're going to know very shortly based off this range here. So something very, very fun to keep an eye on. And again, it's not the only asset that's doing it. Render is breaking into its previous box range highs. Psi appears to be in a nice horizontal reaccumulation, about to break its multi-month downtrend too. Although some of these assets don't look as great. I could make an argument that this is a falling wedge and that Psi is actually going to come further down. So if you are playing in the waters, make sure you're using stop losses. And protecting your capital is like one of the most important things you can do. So just don't lose a bunch of fucking money. So don't die before 2035, and don't lose all your money before 2035 either. Yeah, and you should be good. Everything should be good from here on out. Let's see what else I want to look at. Oh yeah, okay. Solana was another great example of this. If we go out to the 6 hour here, we appear to have made just made the bottom. I did make an argument that I'd like to see, and again, this would be an argument for a little bit more downside for some of these assets. That this to me looks like it would be the perfect inverse head and shoulders if Solana just came back down to about 110. So it could be that we get to the top of the range, turn around for one more time, start to see the first reaccumulations. And again, this is what I originally thought for Bitcoin, is that we would hit 89,000, come back down one more time, and that this would basically be an inverse head and shoulders too. But based off this reaccumulation, I'm not sure that that's the case. So I've taken some larger positions over the last week, and I've got my stop losses set now. So we'll see how it goes. But other than that, I think you can just generally keep buying Bitcoin every day and ignore the price, and you will be happy over a long enough term. Again, I don't suggest stocks. I think physical assets are the best way to go. I think if you can't touch it, if you can't hold it, there's going to be a day when the government just takes it away from you. And we have a lot of evidence for that happening in the past. It's not like, hey, this is something that's never happened. Like, it's actually happened a few times. So anytime you have a repeat experience of how the government treats people, I try to take that as their standardized norm and ignore everything else in between. So that's it's kind of generally the sum of my thoughts at the moment. Let's see 110 live viewers. Great. Thanks everyone. It's been a long time since we I'll read the chat here. Someone says, "Who's that smoking hot lady in the background?" That's my wife, soon to be wife, something like this. Yeah. You Let's see. I'm surprised you guys can see that well. You got great vision. She's doing her own computer work in the background. Nice. You guys say it's been a minute since we caught you live. Yeah, I love it. It's so much fun. I haven't been live in a long time. I think it was the presidency or something like this. So it feels good to be back, and sharing the journey again. Let's see. Yeah, hit the like. Love Stonk says, hit the like, everyone, helps the algorithm. Yeah, I mean, I miss you guys. I built this. I really wanted to get to 100,000 subscribers when I first started the channel. I was like, 100,000 is the goal. I'm fucking 7 years on, halfway there, and YouTube screwed me somewhere around 2018, and because it was noticeable. All of a sudden, like, the views were going up, everything was going up, and then like a light switch, they just turned it off, and we lost a ton of momentum. It was actually quite depressing. Because I like doing this. I like building and sharing and going through this conversation with you guys. Man, render is just screaming. So just for fun here, we had a horizontal range within a horizontal range, and that's again the nature of scale and variance. We saw this beautiful horizontal range here, and for render, where it's already like 7% to the upside. 7% to the upside on the daily. These are huge steps again, with very little effort from the market, right? Again, if you pay attention, the other thing that's important to notice that if you pay attention to how much supply signature came in here to start this little supply signature and massively increasing price momentum, these are signs of the bull market returning. So again, I don't want to get too excited, but nonetheless, that's where we're at. We're in the excited mode. One of you asked about Sui. I had a big position I was building in Sui, but one of the things. Oh, good. Yeah, it's actually finally in momentum. Jesus, it was so slow. I closed out the position yesterday because I was just fucking angry at it and built bigger positions somewhere else this morning, right off the cuff of this. But all of this choppy range, the fact that Sui tried to go into market discovery mode and then came into this really hard kind of secondary bottom. This to me signals weakness. There's a lot of supply out there, whereas with render, instead of weakness, as soon as we went into the horizontal trading range, we saw strength. And I would prefer to follow strength, which is I was angry at fucking Sui yesterday. I was like, Sui, piece of shit. Anyways, don't get emotional while you're trading. That's a prime example of what not to do. But if you feel yourself getting emotional, I deleted it. I actually deleted it from the watch list for a little bit because I was angry at it. I was like, you suck, Sui. I don't want anything to do with you. And it was the right decision. So these horizontal trading ranges and the accumulation ranges, they're both either distributional or accumulation. These look like accumulation to me. I suspect that's going to continue. Yeah. I'm really excited to do the live video today. I see you guys saying Happy Easter. You're glad that I came online today. Turbo Myers has been following since 2017. I really like your way of thinking. Great content always. Thanks, guys. It means a lot. Building this community over the years, it's always exceeded my expectations. Aside from the silly number I put at subscribers the day I started this thing. My best friends I've met through this channel, although they met me a few years before I ever got the chance to meet them face to face. Sharing myself, my thoughts, my feelings openly, consistently has attracted a bunch of people who think and feel very similarly. So it's been a pleasure to meet so many of you over the years too, in so many different countries too. You realize how when you are similar, you end up even in the same places. So it's been such a beautiful journey, something I never would have expected when I started. This was just, hey, this is like a diary that I want to work on. So fascinating to kind of go through this whole growth process. But yeah, everything's looking great. I think we're, let's see how we're doing on the 15 minute and the 5 minute. Yeah, we're peaking out on the 15 minute. I suspect we're going to see the first backup range for Bitcoin here coming in over the next 48 hours. And really importantly too, this backup range is right at the top. So I don't know, I'm leaning towards like 67, 80%. Let's see, 79%, 69.4%, 73% likelihood that this is the start of the rest of the finality of the bull market, because on the 15 minute, the 45 minute, we are right at the top of the previous range, leaving a reaccumulation range into what will become a likely backup range here. I think we're just gonna go from here on out pretty much. So something to keep in mind. Anyways, deal with the Arcane Bear. We'll just keep it short and sweet for today. Now that I know I can go live again, I think because the market's starting to be exceedingly fun again, I'll do that. So maybe the more as the market goes into these more important places and the last moments of the bull market start to take effect, I'll just start going live too at any moment that seems fun and I've got a coffee ready and the time to do so. So anyways, this is Teal with the Arcane Bear. Thank you guys all for joining us today at a wonderful time. I'm so glad that all the live stuff went well and smoothly. We'll see you again on the next episodes. So thank you guys. Oh, there we go.